Today we're going to be talking about Dune. Uh, it was an interesting one, I guess. We'll get into that. All right. So, to begin, I'll be honest. Dune took me a few walkthroughs. Like I stopped and started a bunch. Um, it's not. It's not the pacing necessary. I mean, I guess let me not lie. It's the pacing. The pacing of the movie starts really, really slow. I mean, slow in a way that it's a build, right? And okay, so before I go any further, spoiler alert if you weren't aware of this before you clicked on this video, learned about Dune, anything. This is part 1 of 2. So, just so you know, it ends like abrupt. Like it's just like, oh, stuff happens, cut. And then you'll see you next time kind of thing. Like, like maybe there'll be a part 2. I mean, obviously the hope is there's a part 2, but without a part 2, this will feel a little bit incomplete. Okay. So, I heard someone reference the film as a outer space Game of Thrones. That's not far off. I get what they were saying where they tried to put it's not on like spaceships specific, so it's not necessarily like inter space travel. It's just like they go from planet to planet, but they're still going from planet to planet. So you become very aware of the fact that there are houses, there's a overarching prophecy, and then there's a lot of people not liking each other and resolving that the way that they do in Game of Thrones-esque ways. It's a lot of world building. I mean, I'll be honest, it's going to take me several watches to get the full grasp of the film. Not to say that I don't think that I caught everything, I just think that visually there was a lot. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful film. And the acting is amazing. Everybody that acts in the film is absolutely great at what they do. It's just there's so much. It's a very dense film with the understanding that they're making it dense and it's 2 parts, right? So it's not dense because it's gonna be 3 hours or 3.5 hours, but it's the whole film. It's 2.5 hours. I think it's 2:35, and then it just ends, and then you're sort of just waiting to see what the second part would look like. It's again, like I think I was lost in the acting, the set design, the music, even like the score was great. It's just here's my recommendation. Watch it. It's good. It's a solid film. Once you get past the initial 12 minutes, I think it is, the first 12 minutes, somewhere around there, then, the movie kind of picks up steam. It gets its bearings a little bit better. You get introduced to a few different people in different houses and kind of get an idea of the intricacies of kind of the warring class system that exists. You know what? It reminds me a lot of Avatar, right? So you have this planet. People want the resources. They're coming in and they're going to take the resources, and the people of the planet, they don't want it to happen, and the indigenous peoples are, let's just say, not treated the best, or not held in the highest esteem. We'll call it that. It's very. You could opt to switch out a lot of words within this film, and it would feel at home as a news story. Any point in history that somebody's doing something that everybody else is like, hey, maybe don't do that to those people there. They were there first, and give it back. Yeah, it's it's what Hollywood does. Like it's a very well put together film. Like everyone that's acting in it is, the highest praise I can give the film is that it's as if a bunch of different people have synergistic monologues, right? That's what the film is. Like it's a lot of people where when you watch it, you're I don't want to say overwhelmed because that makes it seem like it's too high level. There's just a lot to absorb. You know, like there's a lot to absorb with the different relationships. There's a lot of subtext in the film. Like there's a lot that you're going to get to the end of the film and realize, oh, when the person was talking this time earlier in the film, that makes a lot more sense now. And if you go back and watch it and then watch it through with the understanding of what happens later, like, oh, that makes so much more sense. Which obviously is, good storytelling. But it's just, if you're going to sit down and watch it, clear your calendar, put your phone on Do Not Disturb, and sit down. I'd suggest maybe even take some notes. And watch it through the first time. Give yourself a little bit to let it digest. Maybe watch it one or two more times. Discuss it with other people. Discuss it on the chat. Write in the comments your favorite part of part 1 of Dune. And what your hopes are for part 2. And I'll be honest, for me, one of the more special, I guess, concepts that they went into was the idea of their little force field thing, where if it was high speed it couldn't break through, but then if it was really slow it could. Just an interesting concept as far as tech is concerned. Usually a force field is impenetrable. Like you put on the force field, nothing can get through it. So the idea that, if it's slow moving to a degree, then, it can go through the force field is just an interesting concept. Like it's just a different way to go about the concept of a force field. So again, I genuinely enjoyed it. Took a few times for me to get through. I'll be honest, it's probably the third or fourth watch that I felt like, okay, I've watched this. These are my thoughts on it. I would suggest other people watch it, if nothing else, for the selfish reason that I'd like to see part 2, and the more people that watch it, the more I'm sure they're going to put towards the idea of putting out the second part. And I'd like to see what happens next. It's a good story. Comment below any other movies, music, anything else you want me to comment on. I've got some other videos I'm working on, and I'll be putting them out, and it should be bi-weekly-ish that I put out videos, if not every day. We'll see what I do as far as scheduling is concerned. But again, if you've stayed this long, thanks for sticking around. If you haven't already subscribed, why not? It's free. Just click a button and then you'll get notified when all sorts of randomness that I put together comes out. And